Secretary, will you take roll, please?
Chairperson Kiever,
Here.
Vice Chair Meyer,
I'm here.
Commissioner Bagwell, here. Commissioner Cartwright, Commissioner Whitefield,
Here.
Commissioner Wilkie McCulloch,
Here.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you so much. And for the record, Commissioner Cartwright is excused. On to public comment, and we have received via email a public comment from Molly Walt that will be entered into the record. Is there anything else that I need to do? So we have received it, and it is part of our record, and we thank Molly for taking the time to let us know what's on her mind. We appreciate that much. Is there any public comment from anybody else?
There is no public comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much for that. Let's move on to agenda item number 4 for possible action, approval of minutes from the Park and Recreation Commission meeting of August 18th, 2020. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes? And are there any comments or changes?
Yes and no.
Thank you. Anybody else? Are we all good? I'm waiting for a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of August 18th, 2020 as submitted.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second Janet Caldwell.
Thank you so much, Janice. We appreciate that. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All those opposed? Sounds as though it was unanimous. All right, thanks so much, commissioners. Moving on for discussion only. Program of the month, a presentation only regarding the Carson City youth programs, including Capital Kids before and after school program, Camp Carson Summer Camp, and Capital Kids Remote Learning Program. Andrew Mendez is going to take us. Andrew, please.
Andrew Menendez, Recreation Program Supervisor. All right, just wanted to thank everyone for their time for having youth programs as Program of the Month. We're excited to talk about Capital Kids, our before and after school program, as well as our Camp Carson Summer Day Camp program. With our Capital Kids before and after school program, this is a program that we offer here at the Community Center for before schooling from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m., with our after school program being held over at the school sites from 3:15 p.m. to 6 p.m. This program serves youth between kindergarten and 5th grade. This program also has activities such as group games, arts and crafts, STEAM, helps with homework assistance, and anything to really just get the kids being active, meet other kids, engaging them in activities. The schools that we do serve are Boardwick, Empire, Mark Twain, Montessori, Seeliger, and Fremont and Fritch. Yeah, all the elementary schools, yeah. We do not offer a before-school program for the for Montessori, though. For this current year, though, we are also not offering a before-school program for Montessori, and we are not offering an after-school program for Empire and Montessori, though we are offering remote learning for those two schools. Yeah, you're welcome. For our Capital Kids Remote Learning Program, this is a program that we hold here at the Community Center. This program runs from 7:40 a.m. To 3:15 p.m. This program is here to help kids for the days they don't attend school with any homework assignment assistance, such as Google Classroom, Clever, any paper assignments that I have, as well as getting them on their Zoom meetings, which they have weekly and sometimes just more than once a week as well. We're not there to really educate or teach the kids, but really just to be there for them with any help or with logging in or any assistance we can provide. All right, for our Capital Kids 2019-2020 participation, last year in 2019-20, we averaged 100 children a week for our before-school program. For the after-school program, we had around 196 children per week. The kids that we did serve, again, were K through 5. And again, Boardwick, Empire, Fremont, Fritch, Mark Twain, Montessori, and Seeliger. For our Capital Kids 2020-2021 participation, again, the same schools mentioned earlier, though we did not offer a before-school program this year, as well as no after-school program for our Empire and Montessori schools, though that we do have programming or availability for them during remote learning. This year, we're averaging about 35 children a week for our before-school program, 91 children a week for our after-school program, and 106 children per week for our remote learning program. Next, I'd like to talk to our Camp Carson Summer Day Camp program. This program is amazing. It offers kids activities to do during the summer when they're not in school. This program is held at the Community Center gym for our K through 2nd groups, as well as at the Marv Texera Pavilion for grades 3rd through 6th. This program introduces kids to fun and exciting indoor and outdoor activities such as STEAM, arts and crafts, open swimming lessons, field trips, guest speakers, and other camp programs that we rotate through. Some of the programs that we do offer for our kids would include for the Chipmunks, our kindergartners, PBS Summer Adventure. This resource is a collection of multimedia activities from kids' favorite PBS kids shows and characters. For our minors, which is our first graders, we are offering our NRPA Commit to Health. And Commit to Health campaign supports the goals of improving healthy food access, reducing obesity and chronic disease, and fostering social supports. We weren't able to implement this program fully this year. This would have been our first year offering it, but because of lack of resources, not able to go to farmers markets and such, it kind of complicated a little bit. But we're hoping to get it jump-started next year for sure. Our next group, we have our Bighorns. That is our 2nd graders, and we offer our NRPA Wildlife Explorers. And this is an initiative that connects youth to nature by leveraging existing out-of-school programming at local parks and recreation centers. And this program really focuses on wildlife and nature. We do have work packets that we have them work through throughout the summer each week. So it's pretty exciting activities that they get to rotate through. Our next group is our Wolf Pack, and this is our 3rd graders. And this is a Sports Revolution. Sports Revolution, this new program, will introduce kids to new games and sports that are age appropriate and inspire them to have fun and be active. Some of the games that we'll do would be like crab soccer, it could be water balloon volleyball, or balloon basketball. It's really finding a unique way to find and turn around our active sports. So next we have our Capitals, missed one. Capitals, we have our Camp Quest program. This program takes kids on outdoor activities throughout the summer to gain an understanding of the great outdoors. This program is for kids to get to go on adventures such as hiking, orienteering, archery. We're hoping to do fishing this year, but we aren't able to do that. We actually weren't able to do some of these activities due to transportation issues with COVID. But this is definitely one of our programs that the kids love to do, just to get outside and be active a little bit. And sorry, I think I actually missed one of them, and that's our paddleboard group. Those are our 3rd graders, and CATCH is one of the programs we offer for them. And that stands for Coordinated Approach to Child Health. And this program unites multiple players in a child's life to create community health. This program teaches kids about grow foods as well as being active and being active with other kids as well. So these camp programs really get the children excited, and they get to rotate through these camp programs each year, so you're not having to do the same one week in and week out, which they really like. With our Camp Carson 2019 participation, we had 8 weeks of camp last year, and we had about 146 children per week. For our Camp Carson 2020 this year, we had 7 weeks of camp, and we had 57 children per week. Lastly, I want to talk about our revenue and cost recovery. For fiscal year 19, we had a revenue of $537,370, and a cost recovery of 115%. For fiscal year 20, we had a revenue of $399,830 with a cost recovery of 95%. And again, lastly, I just want to thank you all for allowing me to talk about our Capital Kids and Camp Carson programs. It really is a great program for our youth in the community. Our part-time staff really put all their effort into making sure the kids are always having a great time, whether it's creating new activities, playing with them, helping with homework, and just being there to listen to them and providing them another outlet. So it's really them who help make our Camp Carson and Capital Kids program really great. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. This is really impressive what you've done, especially considering all the challenges with COVID. You've done a great job. I like your slides. They're festive, they're fun. Makes it seem as though you enjoy being part of the program. I do have a question about the remote learning. Can any child in Carson City participate? And if so, how would they access that?
Absolutely. So yeah, for our remote learning, so we provide it for all the children enrolled in the elementary schools such as Boardwick, Empire, Fremont, Fritch, Mark Twain, Seeliger, and Montessori, so K through 5. And they would be able to access it at carson.org/ccpr, and they would be able to register that way. They would also be able to register either via the phone as well, myself. And they would just have to pick the school they would like that their child is attending and which cohort they're in, either cohort 1 or cohort 2.
Thank you so much for that information. Are there any comments or questions from the commission members? Commissioner Bagwell?
So can you just give me a little bit more on the difference between what the minors, which is commitment to health, and the battle-born catch? Is one more robust and builds on the other? They're both health-oriented?
Yeah, so with the catch, it's really focusing on being active. So it's a lot of it's playing different unique games. So it might be playing different designs of kickball or basketball. It's really sports activities and also just group game activities, but different group game activities. And I think the other one was the Commit to Health program. That one really teaches kids about different, I think it's more about healthy food eating, going to farmers markets, watching growing foods, things like that. So that's one thing that we want to definitely implement too, is maybe starting growing some plants, things like that. So that's something exciting that we've kind of looked into a little bit, but need to dig in a little bit more.
You're looking for a community garden spot? I'm getting bugged a lot for that, so maybe we'll come up with something.
That would be amazing.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Thank you so much.
This is Commissioner Wilkie.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. I just want to thank you guys for this program. It's really been helpful for a lot of the parents and the community, especially with the after school being at the schools themselves. And it is a really great project. I've been at the one at Mark Twain a couple times last year, and the kids seem to be very engaged. So I just really do appreciate it. And I appreciated the revenue and cost recovery portion too. That was good to see. So keep up the good work, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Again, thank you, and keep up the good work, please. All right, any public comment? Jennifer, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overlook you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Andrew. He's done such a tremendous job. He's really turned this program around, all the programs, and having to deal with COVID and create a whole other program that we didn't have previously The CARES Act funding is tremendous that we're be able to provide that, so we so appreciate that. But having to run that program on top of his normal job and have that distance learning support for the kids, I think it's really important for the community, and I just wanted to thank him for all the hard work that he's done.
Thank you so much.
So the question is, do you love Zoom? Oh, because it looks like, what, 140, 106 kids. Do you have to help them sign on a lot and get into their little notebooks?
Yeah, Zoom is a big challenge for sure on our part, just because we have sometimes as much as 10, 12 kids at the same time on Zoom. So the challenge is getting them onto the right Zoom link. And does the Zoom link work? Do we have to put in an address for it with a password? So Zoom's, we're getting better at it. There's definitely challenges for sure. But that's probably one of our most challenging parts for sure, is just making sure we're getting the kids on the Zoom calls and making sure we're being on top of it to make sure they're on time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, did we ask for any public comment? We don't? Don't need to worry? All right, we won't worry. All right, well, public comment at the end. Thank you for reminding me. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6, discussion only. A presentation by the Duncan Golf Management DBA TDS Golf at Eagle Valley. Whoa, regarding operations and management of the Eagle Valley Golf Course. This is a discussion only regarding the license agreement between Carson City and Duncan Golf Management, including future capital improvement projects needs at Eagle Valley Golf. Scott, Dave, and Jennifer, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. Well, I'm so pleased today to have Duncan Golf here. Scott Wachowski has been such a tremendous partner for us. It's almost 3 years now we've had this partnership. In the agreement, which I've provided for you in your packet, it gives an opportunity for consideration of renewal of the contract. So I wanted to take the time to let Scott do his annual presentation and give you background on where they're at with the golf course, and then any opportunity to discuss the contract, what we see moving forward, any concerns, before we end up bringing that to the board. So I just wanted to have some general discussion and feedback on where we're at with that. From staff's perspective, we've had, really great relationship with them. We're very lucky to have them here. I think we've really, as a team, turned the golf course around, and it's going in the right direction. I think the next focus really needs to be capital improvements and reinvesting in that facility to make sure we keep it something we can all be proud of. But I'll turn it over to Scott, and then we can have any discussions on the contract or anything else that the commission would like to discuss after that.
Scott? Okay. Scott, welcome. And we'll.
Is it a PowerPoint or is it? Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay,
Are we good?
think so.
Oh, good. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I remember your last presentation. It was exciting. Hope to see more of it.
Well, that's a lot to deal with right now, so.
Bet you didn't think anybody would remember it, did you?
Well, hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. 2020, say no more, 2020. So I'll just jump right into it. I'm going to go through the year, and then I'm sure we'll have some discussion after that, but I'll review the golf course operations. This presentation was done about the second week of September, so that's the data I have to share tonight. I'll share a little bit, but don't have those factuals because we had to get it in to be on the agenda. So anyway, 2020, COVID-19. That's all there we can really say, and this slide kind of says it all on the emotions and wide range of COVID-19 and 2020. So thank you very much. That's my presentation. No, in all seriousness, so what I'd like to do is take this month by month, because that's kind of what this year was. One, kind of after March was really day by day, figuring out, reinventing yourself. What do we do? Rules are vague. Then we get some detail to them. What are we doing? What are not? So I'm just going to run through this month by month. and kind of giving you an idea of how the year went. So January, hey, we ended 2019, came in here, gave a presentation last year. Great year, good recovery for the golf course. 2020, Cinco de Mayo is on a Tuesday. 4th of July is on a Saturday. They have all these like sexy dates out there like, hey, it's going to be a great year, 2020. And January was great. We start off, January 3rd was, we did over 200 golfers. The weather was, I think, in the 60s or 70 degrees. Was an awesome start of the year. Then, as typical Januaries go, we get a little seasonal weather. The golf course closes for a week. But we ended up, at the end of the day, achieving our budget for January. So very optimistic. Had a lot of bookings coming through. So January was pretty good. We're off to a good start. February 1st, 70 degrees. February this past year, 2020, was an amazing month. Last year, we were closed, I think, almost the entire month of February. The winter set in, got cold. So we did 100 rounds in the month of February last year. This year, we did 3,000 rounds. So look, we are excited. Come off a great year, 2019. January, we make budget, which January is always kind of like, hey, you do or don't. It's really weather dependent. February, we are way ahead of this thing, and we are cruising. It's awesome. Get to March. March 1st, high of 33. So we're a month later. Winter kind of sets in, but that's typical of March. 3 days later, it's 67 degrees. The golf course is absolutely packed again, and things are good. Spring break's right around the corner. We all go on spring break. COVID-19 starts. The news is going on. While we're on spring break, they say, hey, no one's going back to school. And for the golf business, that's typically a very slow time of year. During spring break, people go on vacation. The weather is always marginal in northern Nevada. So it being down a little bit, okay. Closing schools, now we have COVID-19. And then March 12th, the governor comes out and issues his first declaration. It was time to become very pliable in our industry. And just as it is in Parks and Recs, when you have employees, customers, public, became very difficult to go, hey, where are we going? Where is this leading us? The golf courses for the month of March remained open, but it was gray. When the announcement first came out, it was essential, non-essential. Outdoor activities were deemed kind of in the middle. Were they essential, not essential? So the golf course remained open for March, but it was kind of a gray area. Are we essential? Do we stay open? Do we close? The governor's office was obviously over-inundated with all these questions of how do you define yourself at one business or another. So in Nevada and across the country, there's a golf course owner association that we're a member of. They got together very early on during all this declaration, came up with a lot of policies and procedures throughout the state so that golf course operators could operate in a safe manner. Our professional organizations, Golf Course Superintendents Association of America, PGA of America, also came through with a lot of policies and procedures. So we were implementing things before the governor said, hey, this is what you need to do. Bars are open, bars are closed. Restaurants are open, restaurants are closed. Casinos stay open, now they're closed. So it was just all over the place the month of March, and it was kind of a blur. And it was one of those things that as we went through March, I think I had a different email communication almost daily to the staff saying, hey, we're going single rider and carts. Let's remove all the touch points. Restaurants are closed. Remove all the merchandise. We need to limit people's exposure in the building. We're only going to have restrooms open. They can go out to the golf course. Single rider. And when you're dealing with staff and public, which you guys know, it felt like we were constantly contradicting our rules, but really it was the rules that were coming out. We're all dealing with it. So March was a fun month to kind of get our arms around this and see where this is going to go. As we worked through, like I said, the Nevada Golf Course Owner Association, we had created and customized what we were going to do here in northern Nevada. A bunch of the golf courses got together here, different ownership groups, and said, hey, let's just get together. Everyone do the same thing. We're going to go on what they're doing in the south. And for us, we're starting and getting into our prime season, while down south, they're getting into their off season. So it's very critical, and the golf courses are at a critical point in their coming out in the spring during that time. So we sent out email blasts to our customers saying, hey, this is what you're gonna need to do. And in March was really difficult to get people to adhere to these things. And why isn't the restaurant open? And why isn't the golf shop open? Well, the golf course is open. Let's be grateful that the golf course is open. So a lot of communications back and forth. Not a lot of compliance with customers. They were resistant here in Northern Nevada for sure. As we went through April, the Masters, which is a professional golf tournament, is pretty much the kickstart of every golf season. When that got canceled, was like, oh, okay, we'll make it through. That's kind of the kickoff event of the year. So we're open, we're doing good, and then the halt of business came April 9th and turned our world upside down. The golf courses are all now coming out of dormancy at a critical point, and the golf course is closed. Well, to maintain the golf course, we need that April revenue to support those operations. So we were in a bit of a panic to a point, going, the golf course is closed, what do we do now? There wasn't, hey, you're gonna close for an amount of time. It was an unknown. During that time, they had the PPP was announced. We have wonderful relationships with our banks. So we had applied well before this had happened. And when they opened it up, we hit send and we were good. And we were one of the businesses that were very early on, and we were able to have funding within 2-3 days of our application going in. So we really went from panic to focus. And with the closure, we took it on as, hey, we're gonna benefit our property. I'm gonna skip through this one because this one's a little out of order here. So April 9th comes, we communicate to the public saying, hey, we have golf memberships at Eagle Valley that are an annual membership. So those folks are going, hey, the golf course is closed, we can't go. Well, we said, hey, we don't know how long it's gonna be closed. We're gonna treat this as a seasonal weather closure until we get further guidance. But what we decided to do is we decided to dig in and say, hey, we're gonna take this time. We got our PPP funding. We're not gonna lay people off. We're gonna get all these people in, and we're gonna deep dive into each department and start doing some deep cleaning. We're gonna go do things that we haven't done in these departments before because we're usually typically busy and focused on other things. That took us about a week to get through that, and it was easy to get negative, scared even, and saying, hey, what's the next step here? But we decided to say, hey, we're gonna turn this into a positive, and we're gonna really dive into the departments. So that took about a week. There's only so much you can clean in the golf shops, only so much you can clean in the restaurants. So we said, hey, there's a lot of things we don't get to on the golf course. So we're gonna take our food and beverage and our golf staffs, and we're gonna focus on the golf course. That was really awesome. One, for the superintendents to have the resources to do that. And here in Eagle Valley, not having to lay off all the staff for 36 holes, we got to have a big party out on the golf course. Now, we're a little limited in getting people out there, so they were taking golf carts, but it was good. People got to engage on what was going on in golf course maintenance, so it was fantastic. Now, April finished. We only had 8 days of revenue for Eagle Valley, and dollars and cents that put us about $130,000 behind for the month of April. So we did good in January, did good in February, and now we kind of get a little bit of a gut punch, and we're $130,000 behind by the end of April. April 29th, governor says, hey, golf courses can open May 1st. With that, and this is tiny, but there was no other way to put them all in there. This came with a detailed opening of what the golf courses need to do in our industry to open. The good thing is we, as the Golf Alliance of Nevada, we kind of wrote this for them to a point, and we were working with the governor's office and close. So we were doing all these things in March. There wasn't anything that he was asking us to do that we hadn't already previously done. So you said, hey, getting the late notice, April 29th, he says we can open May 1st. Okay, we're ready, we're good to go. So we got going. Sent an email out to the entire database saying, hey, Eagle Valley is gonna be open for play. And we were super excited that typically the month of May is one of the best golf course condition months out of the year. This certainly was the best Eagle Valley has ever looked. We had all of our resources for 3 straight weeks out there. There wasn't a ball mark on a green, and it was awesome. The golf course looked fantastic. During our closure, met with our software presider for our tee sheets and got prepaid online tee times as part of the COVID initiative. So that was fantastic, limited a lot of exposure coming in, and it actually helped boost business to have that online presence where you could prepay before. You could always book a tee time online, but you couldn't pay for it online. So that was a really, really great thing, and it continues to be a great thing for Eagle Valley. So getting open, all the signage that had to go, we have signage on golf carts, on just about every window, door, bar top. We have A-frames at the putting greens, really letting everybody know that, hey, we're taking this serious, we're involved, we're following the directive. And I think like, hey, one, it made our staff feel good that we're taking it serious, and also made the customers feel comfortable when they're coming out to the golf course. So May 1st reopening, we're excited to get open. May 1st comes around. We also, with all of the guidelines that the governor put forth, we also did a couple of self-imposed guidelines of no shotgun starts. What shotgun starts are everyone meets at one place. They go out to the golf course. Once they finish golfing, then they all come down. Well, we said, hey, we're not going to do that because we can't control a gathering of less than 50 people. Before we shut down, weren't really adhering to social distancing. It was a new term. No one really knew what social distancing was. So we said, hey, we're not going to do shotguns. We're going to do straight tee times. May 1st, 70 degrees. We did over 300 golfers. We're at Eagle Valley was one of our highest days that we've done since we've been there. So it was a fantastic start. The golf course was in great shape, and people were so grateful to get out and play some golf. The month of May was pretty awesome. You know, not a lot of things were open, so we're seeing families come out. The driving range is packed. Juniors, moms are coming out that, you know, they would hit a couple shots, not really playing golf, but they want to just go out and ride because there's nothing else to do. So they're driving around the golf course. So it gave an outlet not only to golf, but just an outdoor activity where people could be out there. So it was really, really awesome. We averaged 240 golfers 7 days a week, which we have never done that the entire time we've been at Eagle Valley. So it was unbelievable. And we blew the budget out of the water by $50,000 for the month of May. It was fantastic. The hope for golf was in the air. April was one of those, hey, we're closed, when are we going to get open? We did nearly 6,000 paid rounds compared to the previous year, we did 3,000. So it was pretty remarkable. Now, we were one of the only things open, so we kind of didn't want to get too tip of our skis with being positive, but it was wonderful. We get to June. June, as well as May, is once the golf course closed in April, we have many events that book a year out, 6 months out, 18 months out. We suffered massive cancellations. Golf tournaments are canceling, special events were canceling. When the casinos closed, a lot of people weren't coming to town anymore. There was all kinds of travel restrictions, so tourism pretty much came to a halt. Well, that affected us, but what we saw was June is a big golf tournament month. But when they weren't coming, everybody locally was. So it was fantastic. Our numbers were really good as far as people were concerned. So our rounds were doing great. We were exceeding play days, but our tournament revenue or our golf revenue wasn't nearly as high as it is for charging an out-of-town resident to play golf than an in-town. So we fell just short of budget in June, which sounds bad on the surface, but we were elated because it could have been a lot worse. So we're still hanging in there in June. July is our biggest budgeted month, forecasted budgeted month. So we are a little nervous. We have not a lot of pre-booking, so it's coming in. But again, and it's going to sound like a little bit of a broken record, but we have record paid rounds in the month of July. It was really awesome. The local community was coming out and playing golf. We did over 230 golfers a day, 7 days a week, which is just a fantastic number in the month of July. We get to August. I put the come on man here because it was like, hey, we did the COVID, no tournaments. We have put all kinds of regulations, stipulations, which now COVID just seems normal. You have hand sanitizers, you have masks, and just about anywhere in your car, in your briefcase, everywhere. It's just normal life. And then they want to throw smoke on us. It's like, come on, man. I mean, here we go. But it was remarkable. Numbers didn't dip. When we had smoke the previous year, numbers just dipped. That wasn't the case. People still wanted to get outside. And I think that, hey, on one level or another, we formed some bad habits of people. They're becoming addicted to golf. It's a good thing. So we had continued support, range revenue, finished the fourth straight record month in Eagle Valley, which was just telling me that, hey, a lot of new people are coming out. They're practicing. They're going to the driving range. It's an outdoor activity. So it's wonderful. August is going good. September. So like I said, when we did this presentation, it was about the middle of the month or so. Remain super optimistic. September is fantastic. September is a huge tournament month. We start to see them coming back a little bit, but moreover, we see them now booking for 21. And that's really encouraging. So, hey, we are not even close to the tournament rounds of golf that we used to do, but we're averaging 220 golfers 7 days a week. So that sounds like a dip from July. July was 230. There's less hours a day. So it's really, really strong. And we're just pinching ourselves saying, hey, when is this going to end? It just didn't. And it was fantastic. The PGA Tour got back going, which is great public perception for a golfer. They had the U.S. Open. Then they had another tournament. Then they scheduled the Masters, which is coming in November. So golf is rolling. It's pretty good. We're very optimistic. Sales and marketing. You know, this is something that I think that we do a very good job at in our local market for golf advertising. We make a dedicated effort at it. So it's like, hey, we used to do all these things. So what did we do? What didn't we do? We launched in February. Eagle Valley now has a dedicated website to itself. It's still associated with the Duncan Golf Management site, but it has its own full website. We launched that in February. We started a Duncan Golf Tournament Series, which was supposed to start in April. Obviously did not happen, so we had to reinvent the wheel here, but we had 5 tournament dates. We incorporated all the golf courses, Eagle Valley being one of those. They had the first event. We had over 70 players, and what was really cool about this was a lot of our membership and guests from Reno coming down to Carson, which was just awesome to get that exposure. We had a 27-hole event rather than an 18-hole event to kick off the year, and it was just wonderful. They just finished up the last series last week. Anyway, remarkable. We're really looking forward to doing this in 2021. So junior programs, 2020, first tee attendance up 30%. It was almost remarkable to see the growth in junior golf. And I do believe, hey, there's not a lot of vacations going on. People aren't traveling. People are in town. Where do I do it with my kids? Awesome exposure. And first tee of Northern Nevada just had great participation in Eagle Valley. We also started a junior golf tour that has been tried many times over the years, and the participation just isn't quite there. We had 70 junior competitors play in the first inaugural event at Eagle Valley, so it was awesome. 50 Mile Club, while it's minimal growth from year over year, there's growth in a time where we were closed for 23 days. Super excited about this. I know we're going to meet here soon, talk about next year, rates, programs. We've got some awesome ideas of growing this, adding some benefits, and looking forward to the 50 Mile Club. But again, another successful year in 50 Mile Club. Weekly promotions. This was something we really couldn't do weekly. We had weekly regular events to try to give some people some sense of normalcy, but promoting them weekly was difficult, not knowing what was going to be next week. But we had some Super Tuesdays went good. We did a men's club on Sundays and a skins game, all pretty well attended. We did this the last couple of years with Eagle Valley and Bully Sports Bar, where we do a Father's Day promotion. They take care of all the sales and marketing. We're just a partner kind of in the background offering golf to dad. We got over 700 entries, which is pretty good, and we get those email addresses, which adds to our database and a future customer. So another successful program for Father's Day. Social media was a tough one in 2020 because we were operating a little bit in a lurch to a point, so we didn't want to be posting too many things out there. So we started getting active as the year went on and getting engagement, but early on in the year, social media, we kind of took a back seat there, but still did a little bit. We were in Golfing Nevada magazine, and we've been in there ever since we've been at Eagle Valley. Great publication, goes all over the South, all over the North, Utah, Colorado, Arizona. Good publication, and it's in a popular golf magazine. What we didn't do a TV commercial this year. Production to try to get that done was next to non-existent. We did start at the end of the year running our old commercial, but we didn't do any TV this year. We didn't do weekly email marketing. What we found was it was hard to commit to anything weekly. And as I said before, golfers were coming in. We didn't have any events to promote. Events were frowned upon by the governor and just about everybody, so it was very difficult to promote anything in a weekly email other than, hey, we're open for golf. Member of the Month, it's been a super successful program that we've done at the club, in the golf shop, and restaurant, but having people fill out this and then all the touch points, we had to discontinue it for 2020. We'll bring it back hopefully in 21. Concert on the Stars, this is a heartbreaker. We had almost 1,200 people out to the golf course last year. Wildly successful, sold it out. Super excited to do it again this year. And we were holding out hope of saying, hey, this is going to open back up. This is going to open back up. And then we finally got to a point where we just had to cancel because there's so much organization, just like many other events. So we're hopeful for 2021. We'll kind of see where that lies in the next couple months here. Aces game, contract signed, paid for, ready to go. They canceled the baseball season. So we weren't really able to do the Aces promotions. We typically go there, 2 home games, promote right on the main concourse there, give away golf, promote the golf course. Couldn't do that this year. Fred Alexander Junior Golf Clinic, another kind of a crusher that's been at Eagle Valley for many years. We just couldn't get our arms around how we were going to social distance that. Couldn't have more than 50 people there. This is an event that can bring out 400 or 500 people. We had to cancel that event this year. Hopeful to bring it back next year. Here's the one slide that I am really proud about. When we first got to Eagle Valley and you looked at the online presence and the reviews, they were 1 and 2 stars. They were, hey, they only have 30 golf carts. I can't even get around the 18 hole without having 3 carts. The golf course is not in very good condition. And I remember when we came in for the interview and presentation to run the golf course, we said, hey, when you have that sort of negativity out there, it takes 2 or 3 years to really get over that deal. Now, look, I'm not saying, hey, they're all positive, but they're overwhelmingly positive online reviews of the golf course, where we're 4 and 5 stars on a regular basis, where before the regular basis was 1 and 2 stars. And we've turned that corner. I know that we've talked about it a lot in our meetings, saying, hey, it's going to take that time. And it's like, man, we feel like we're there. We've turned the corner where Eagle Valley now has a very positive connotation rather than a negative one in our local market. And then even over the hill in California, people want to come back to Eagle Valley. The experience has improved. So super excited about the reviews out there. And I think that's why we're being successful, because the overall experience is good. Here's just a couple of the online reviews. Like I said, you get 4 or 5 stars, and it's all over the place. It's like, hey, the golf shop was fantastic too. The golf course was great. I love my golf cart. I can plug my phone in the golf cart. The reviews are just all over. It's not one aspect of the experience. It's the overall experience. So we're excited about what we've been able to accomplish there. 2020 by the numbers. Driving range revenue is up 16% from 2019, 27% from 2018. So we've had steady growth. I think our success this year has had something to do with COVID. But think about this, the 16% above 2019 is with 23 days of closure in a prime month. Golf shop merchandise is down 1% to 2019. We had over 60 days closed in retail, down 1%. That's phenomenal. Like, that is an unbelievable number that I'm super proud of. We're 37% up from 2018. So I think merchandise, we're going to blow it out of the water next year. We've really found our niche on what the customer wants there. Total golf revenues up 5% from 2019 with a $130,000 hit in April. Phenomenal. Golf rounds up 17%. May, June, July, August, September, 5 months, we exceeded rounds of golf by large margins. Been an amazing year with all the frustrations to get to this point. Another slide I put on here goes back to, hey, when we made our first original presentation and projections, look, we feel like we have a pretty good feel the pulse of the area. We've been in the area for a long time. We've owned golf courses for a long time. So we put a proposal together. And I remember when we went through the interview, and I said, hey, there might be other golf course companies that are going to come in here and they're going to throw all these numbers at you. I just want to be real and give you numbers that we think we can accomplish and a growth that I think is responsible. And we said, hey, first year is going to be around 1.4. The next year, we hope to have a $100,000 increase, which is not super aggressive, but I think that's what it is. It's going to be 1.5. And then, hey, 2020, we said it's going to be around 1.6. Never thought we'd get there with the way this year started with the month of April and closing. But our projections are showing that we're going to be there. So I can stay here and say, hey, we had a slide in the presentation. We not talk the talk, we walk the walk. So we have done what we said we were going to do. This is proof of that. And I'm super excited about this slide and standing in front of you guys, honored to say, hey, for you, you guys have been amazing partners. And it couldn't have happened without y'all. This has been a really good collective group, and we're doing it. It's phenomenal. So that's it. That's the conclusion. We remain optimistic at Eagle Valley. Look forward to the future conversations with Duncan Golf Management being involved there, and we're overly optimistic at golf in general.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Your enthusiasm is contagious. And I think that in spite of all the challenges that we faced during the year, you guys have successfully met and overcome them. Something to be very proud of.
Thank you. We are.
Good. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions for Scott?
Just a couple of questions since we'll be looking at your contract soon too. Can you tell me, did you guys have to raise the rates or did you continue with the rates that were in the original contract?
Rates are identical.
So no changes?
No changes.
Great. And then one of the other components dealt with, and I saw it on the agenda, I didn't see it in your presentation, the maintenance issues about a sharing and doing a 10% for ongoing maintenance. What do you see happening in that arena?
For maintenance or capital? Oh, capital. Yeah, no, that's the discussions we need to have now. We're finishing our third year. The contract was, and don't quote me on this, but my understanding of the contract was written after the third year that we would put 10% into capital contribution of the bottom line that the city would match. And now we're in that saying, hey, and that happens at the renewal of a 5-year contract. We are excited for those conversations.
No idea yet on what it is that you're looking to accomplish?
With the capital, it's a long list.
Oh, okay. That was fair then. I was like, is there any really something standing out?
Yeah, I mean, what we really need to do is get together and say, hey, is this a reality? Are we doing this? And then prioritize the list. Dave sent me, which you guys do a phenomenal job with evaluating the building. So there's building capital desires, there's cart path, bunkers, irrigation improvements. The list goes on and on and on. I think that we need to sit together and build out, hey, are we gonna do this? This is a long-term relationship. This is what we can do with these capital dollars, and then prioritize what we want to do with those capital projects. But the list is pretty long.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Okay.
This is Commissioner Wilkie.
Yes.
Since you've had the growth now because of COVID, are we still able to keep up the grounds and the greens and all that to the point that we had them in April that you started out with?
Now, at the end of the year, they're never going to be what they are in the beginning of the year because you have all that traffic. We continue to get very, very positive feedback and great reviews. The golf course outside of the last month, we had some irrigation issues, has been in fantastic condition, all play considered. So I think that, hey, was it what it was in May? No, but it's at the end of the golf season. It's not anything worse than what it would be after a typical golf season. But the golf course continues to get very, very good reviews.
And which one gets played more, the East or the West, or are they about the same?
I would say the East gets a little bit more than the West, but they're leveling out. The West has gotten a lot more popular. The West is more difficult, so it doesn't lend to a beginner round of golf. So the East will probably, and the East you can play faster. It's a flag golf course. The West you can lose a little more golf balls. So for your average golfer, they like the East.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jen, Dave, do you have anything to add? Oh. Any more comments from the commissioners? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. So I just wanted to highlight a couple things that are in your staff report and the contract to just make sure everybody's aware. So a couple key terms in the contract. It's a 5-year agreement for full operations, maintenance, and management. It has a provision where there's in lieu of rent, basically a $90,000 investment in equipment, because we gave them the course with pretty much either terrible or no equipment. So it didn't really help them out at all. So that was a good incentive why. Also a reminder, because how we acquired this land from Bureau of Land Management, we really can't have a typical rent operation. We can reinvest in the facility and we can have a lot of other out-of-the-box thinking, but it can't be a traditional renter-rentee type relationship. So there are some provisions with how we acquired the land and why we have some kind of creative solutions in that. And then also after year 3, it talks about joint investment into capital improvements, which we already talked about. So the timing for this is really great. The term for section 3, it talks about 5 years can be renewed after December 31st, 2020. So that's the 3rd year of the agreement. And it's perfect timing because it is kind of that springboard for our capital improvement budget season. So we can have that good comprehensive list. We'll know exactly what that 10% net is and what the city's match needs to be, so we can start to have those priorities built into next year's budget. So to me, it's really perfect timing to start talking about that. We've provided Duncan Golf, as Scott said, a list of all the building needs that has been evaluated, and now we're looking at the course. I can tell you the 2 things that I hear about the most are the bunkers and the cart paths. The facility, though, the clubhouse is really aged. Needs some reinvestment, the outdoor pavilions. There's a lot of support needs, I think, that they could really benefit from, too, to provide a better experience for the golfer. So we're going to be actively working with Duncan Golf, but I wanted to get any feedback from the park commissioners with those capital needs. Is there anything that you're hearing from the public that we need to think about and make sure is on the list and is a top priority? Now is a great time to share that. And then we're also going to be we've developed jointly together that scorecard that the agreement talks about, and how are we going to evaluate the contract and present that to the board? Well, we've developed a 12-page scorecard. It's really comprehensive. Scott was really helpful. We worked with Public Works as our partner because they provide the reclaimed water system. There's a whole section dedicated on to NDEP reporting and maintaining the water system. Talks about online reviews, advertising. I mean, it talks about everything. I think it's the potpourri of grade systems, but we wanted to make sure we're addressing all of those needs. But to support that, we're also going to do an online survey. Before we went out to a request for proposal for the community, we did an online survey, and we had over 600 people respond, if you'll remember. And I want to take some of those concepts that we asked them about in that original survey and put that in the survey now before we review, so we can kind of compare, have we gotten better? Are the course conditions better? Is the member benefits better? All of those things that Scott just talked about, we want to make sure we're hearing from the community before we go to the board for renewal of the contract. So if there's anything in particular you want us to include on the survey, let me know. It doesn't have to be today. Send me an email, and we'll get that out, in the next month or so, before we can go to the board in December.
Appreciate that, Jennifer. I've only run into one person who golfs out there, and he's just raving about it. He's happy to be out there golfing, so if that's any indication.
I'm really excited to see the increase in the junior golf, because that was one of our goals when we went out to bid, is to try to encourage the youth in the community to use the course, because there is no course if you don't have youth involvement, because eventually your user group kind of dies off, but you want to reinvest in that youth group. And then they've been really great. They advertise in our activity guides and the things that we put out, our social media. They provide us information so we can kind of capture that youth involvement. So I'm really excited to see that portion.
Excellent. Anything else, or, okay, Scott?
Just clarify, when were you thinking you're bringing the contract to the board to renew?
It needs to be before December 31st, 2020. If you look at section 3,
Oh, I was reading 4 because I didn't read it that way. Okay. Well, I just read it at any time after December 31st,
yeah, that would be the
2020.
action. So, yeah.
But I
so
mean, it
think-
doesn't have to be in
Yeah.
December is what
Right.
I'm saying. But
I think our
from that
goal
date
was-
forward, you can contribute under section 4.5, you'll calculate the 10%.
I think our
That-
goal was going to be around December, January for that time for the renewal discussion.
Okay, I can talk to you offline.
But yeah, we can,
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
anytime. Either way, we're going to make sure that we're complying with all the contract requirements, the scorecard, the evaluation, getting the community feedback, and making sure that we have that capital improvement list put together.
Okay,
But
great.
we can obviously do that, at the pleasure of the board and when that works.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for a good job.
Yes, thank you
And
so
I'm glad
much.
it came through the season, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, luckily it was an outdoor recreation.
Very
so-
fortunate in that
And
aspect.
very good for our community, so thank you.
Yes, Scott, thank you so much. I didn't realize there was so much to a golf course operation. Thank you for explaining it. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And we look forward to seeing you next year.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Scott.
All right. On to item number 7, staff updates. This will be discussion only. We're going to have the director's report, an update on fiscal year 2021 budget, including capital projects, operating budget, fleet/equipment, and departmental organizational chart, impacts related to COVID-19, including programming, projects, facility operations and staffing, status of recruitment for vacant positions, the federal lands bill, and the Board of Supervisors action items. Jen's going to take us through this, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. Few updates, and then I'll get into your packet with the budget. We'll save the good news for last, because that's usually not the great news, but we have wonderful budget news this year, which is just super refreshing. So a couple just items of note. The Carson River Trails project is finishing up. We're going to have a grand opening 10 a.m. October 30th at the 5th Street Trailhead. Please wear face coverings. We'll have to practice social distancing, and we will have a sign-in sheet so we can comply with contract tracing. But if you're available, I encourage everyone to come show up for that. Now we can go up to 250 people, which is great, so we don't have to stress about having RSVPs for a group limited to 50. Bring your bike with you, bring your dogs on a leash, and come enjoy that section of trail. It's a really great project. This is a $1.8 million project from the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act. So we're really just so excited to have this. And then recently, we did submit another $2 million grant for the next trail section. So crossing our fingers that we get that grant money as well. The pickleball courts are done. We now have 8 courts at Mills Park, and thanks to Dave Whitefield, his lovely wife, and all the donors, they have just been amazing. Blood, sweat, and tears getting those courts done. So we now have 8 courts. We are going to do a ribbon cutting. We'll send out an invitation. It will be October 29th at 9 a.m., and we'll get something out to everyone for that. Also, face coverings for that, but come enjoy the courts and check them out. They are busy every morning. You'll see a waiting list, but they've got really good organization. Everybody's been playing very well with each other and taking turns, and it's a good drop-in use. So as it's getting a little cooler, it's actually a really great time to play. So fall's a great time to enjoy those outdoor courts. And then as the weather turns, I just remind people you can go to the MAC for pickleball as well. Not so great note, most of my stuff is great news today, but the Department of Corrections is still not allowing the department to have inmates. So we have pretty much a 20 full-time equivalent loss for our staff for park maintenance. So I just want to thank the hardworking park maintenance staff. Dave Navarro's here. He's been mowing 1 day a week. Dan Caston's been mowing 2 days a week. I mean, everybody's pitching in. I was out last week. We were out pulling weeds at the Caroline Street parking lots. We're all trying to help. So we're just being as creative as we can. We're really relying on volunteers where possible, but with the restrictions, it's been challenging. So please be patient with the park maintenance staff, but that's just sort of what we're up against. I do have some calls into Department of Corrections to see kind of what the horizon is. Our contract with them actually expires next month. So we're trying to work on that renewal and see what happens. But right now, I think they're just sort of on hold. We're all kind of in a wait and see game. There's disc golf sets now. If you want to go to the MAC, you can check out sets of discs to be able to go check out the disc golf course. If you didn't want to commit to purchasing a disc golf set, a set of discs, that's available now. And then we did have a question from Commissioner Kiever earlier about playgrounds and what the status of playgrounds are. So the governor just sent out 2 new directives this week. We're trying to move and adjust accordingly with all of our programs. They do require health department approval, so we're working with the health department to figure out what the requirements will be to get those open. So we're doing our best to get that back open. People are pretty much using them anyway, but we want to definitely comply with all the CDC guidelines and everything that the governor directed. So we are working on that, and hopefully we'll get those open. There's also new directives with sports and tournaments and having to have approval. It's not just go up to 250. If you have a tournament or event, you have to have approval from business and industry on your plan. So we are actively working with our user groups to try to respond to that. We have a lot of great events coming up. Bonanza will be October 29th as well from 4 to 7 at Centennial Park. It's a drive-through event. Typically our activity is in the community center gym and we pack in thousands of people. We're doing it completely different this year. The golf course is our partner. And at Centennial Park, we have over 40 vendors that will hand out candy in a safe manner, and we're having car decorating contests and trying to make it as fun as possible. We're also partnering with the Railroad Association. We'll have the Ghost Train at Mills Park. And there's online tickets that you have to purchase in advance so we can kind of stagger activities and not have too much gathering. And but there'll be no walk-ups for that. So if you want to purchase, your tickets in advance,
Jen?
that's required. Yes.
I want to tell you that the public response to Bonanza, or Trick or Trunk as I call it, and the Ghost Train has been overwhelming. People are so grateful that the Parks Department is still accommodating these traditions yet adapting to the times. So
Thank you.
kudos
and
to you and your staff
our
for doing that.
recreation staff has just had to kind of take a breath and move and adjust and try to be creative and kind of reimagine these events so they can still happen, which is wonderful. We still have a couple staff vacancies. We do have 2 park maintenance worker positions full-time vacant. We have our range coordinator received a different job, so we're trying to hire a new range coordinator right now. Dave's actively working on that. Our natural resource specialist position, Lindsay Boyer was promoted to open space manager. We're working on updating her previous job description to get that open soon. But the hiring freeze is off, and we've been authorized to go forward on all those positions. So that's really great news for us moving forward. And I think that's a good segue into your packet with the budget. So I just wanted to highlight the great news and the support from the Board of Supervisors that we received with this budget year. To highlight, I gave you what all of the departments citywide will be receiving as part of the budget. This is typically approved, in April and May for the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st. So it's definitely much later than normal. We put the budget on hold, everything on hold, just to be safe with COVID. But we're really excited that we're getting hand tool replacements, mowers that we've requested, material storage bins for Fuji Park, some improvements for the cemetery irrigation, security cameras that are sorely needed, asphalt and concrete path repair, which is so needed with our trail system. So there's, and also funding for the Pony Express Air Park runway, and they're contributing $5,000 as well. So there's a lot of capital improvements happening, and that's just from the capital fund. That's not quality of life funding that you've already reviewed and seen. Those projects are still happening. Also, the skylight replacement at the Aquatic Center facilities, I know has asked for that for years. So we're excited to see that on the list. And then if you skip over to the supplemental requests, so those are for our operating budget, if you heard that term. And we had a lot of requests in this year. We have mandates for minimum wage increases, so we have to get ahead of that and make sure we're meeting all the legal requirements. Those were all approved for our seasonal staff. So right now, previously, we had some employees at $8.25 and $8.75 an hour. Now we are all at $9 an hour, and every year we're doing a 75-cent increase to get to that $12 minimum wage requirement mandate. So we're definitely on track for that, which is wonderful. We also didn't have an official budget created for the rifle range, so that's what you'll see in there. And I do want to remind everyone that all the revenue that comes from the rifle range goes back into that facility to support it, which is wonderful. And that's not typical of most government agencies, so it's really nice to see. And then we also got, I'm so excited, approval to hire another park ranger. We're going to create a new position, a senior park ranger, so it'll give steps for our park rangers to be able to move up within the organization for succession planning, and we really need more boots on the ground help, and this will be great. This will be a working, active supervisor. They'll be out in their truck teaching interpretive programs, possibly working at the rifle range, helping with compliance issues at our park, and just supporting that park ranger team. We have the job description all finalized, and it should be posted in the coming weeks, and we're excited to start recruiting for that position. We had to get creative with the funding for that, and we recognize that. So we are giving up 2 of our AmeriCorps positions. The current AmeriCorps that we have on are contracted. We already have paid for their services. They'll continue out. But we had 3 AmeriCorps positions. We'll retain our volunteer coordinator. That position's proven to be really critical for our operation and help the support. But the other 2 positions will be absorbed by our park rangers. So that senior park ranger position will be 29% will be funded by the general fund out of existing budgets from the AmeriCorps, and a savings, our shop coordinator position will be budgeted toward open space. So 70% or 71% will be funded from open space. So it's not an increase to the general fund, and we still get a position. So that's a big win for us, and we're so excited about that. Then I gave you a copy of a revised organizational chart, so you can see where the senior park ranger will fit, where our existing vacancies are, and we've had, some changes with like Lindsay Boyer being promoted to the open space manager, where that fits, and then where the AmeriCorps Vista volunteer coordinator fits into the organization. So I know that's a lot of information in your packet, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Jen. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I have one. This is Janice.
Go ahead, Commissioner
I don't
Caldwell.
know, on the capital list, where is the improvements of Ross Gold Tennis Court?
That's a great question. So that was already approved as part of the budget at the July 1st fiscal year. So we have $165,000 allocated from residential construction tax, and that will be designed this fall and will go to bid over the winter for spring construction.
Okay, thanks very much. I got a good report to people then.
Thank you.
Jennifer, this is Kurt Meyer.
Hi, Kurt.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Hi. Hey, I just had a quick question. That's exciting to get that runway fixed out there for the airplane enthusiasts. Did we ever determine if the V&T drainage from their parking lot was affecting that? And if so, are we going to address that before we spend the money on that runway?
Dave, you want to take that? I'm going to let Dave take that.
Yeah, for the record,
Thank you.
this is Dave Navarro. Hey, Kurt, how's it going?
Good, good.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you can hear me. Yes, we are also going to be looking at the drainage as well. It hasn't been like determined yet if and how much of that like affected like the runway, but we will be looking at addressing that as well. And I think that's something that we can probably do, let's see, fairly easy, with just creating like some diversion in there.
Okay, great. Well, I just remember that when they came and asked for that money, that they were concerned with that aspect of it also. I wanted to make sure we were still addressing that. So thank you, Dave.
Yep, not a problem. You're welcome.
And then just to add on that, we did have the city engineer go out on site and look at that already before we put that in the budget.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions for Jennifer? Do you have anything else for us, Jen?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Whitfield.
thank you. Just wanted to comment, Jen, thanks for the kind words about the pickleball. We are very excited about having the 8 courts. I had a few of our players question, did we actually need the other 4 courts? And it gave me pause a little bit, but we went ahead and did it anyway. And the latest reports I've had have been pretty positive. I think 6 to 8 courts have been in use quite a few days of the week, so feeling pretty good about that. Comment on the River Parks Trail. I was fortunate enough to get a tour of the trail before it's done here yesterday. I got to tour all 3 sections of it, and just wanted to mention I was very impressed. I've not availed myself of those facilities before, but I think the community is going to be very happy with what the work that's gone on out there. It's a really neat trail. Some of the views are just spectacular. So I think that's going to be a really popular spot in the city, and it's been a great project.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitfield. Any other comments or requests for information from Jennifer? Okay. Jen, I have been approached by some people at Sonoma. There are 2 trees on the west side near the benches, and they appear to be dying from a lack of water. And the regulars were wondering if perhaps we could do something to see that these trees get water.
We will get right on it.
They would appreciate it. Of course, I don't know what the dogs doing their business on the trees do for them, but any other requests for Jennifer? All right. Thank you, Jen. As always, that was an informative report and good news on the budget. Appreciate that. Let's move on to an update from our Carson City School Board liaison. If I could read, we'd be doing good. Stacy, are you there?
I'm here. Just
Yep.
keep forgetting to do the unmute button. So just a update, the Rotary of Carson City donated over 800 air purifiers that have been put out by their members to staff and teachers around our district. It's a great appreciation for them for that. Our safety has always been our concern with our employees and our students. And so this fit right in there, and the employees are just beyond grateful. And I got to thank them today at their meeting for that. The other big news is starting October 19th, we're going to have pre-K, first grade, and second grade starting to go back 4 days a week. Monday will still be a prep, but there will be in-school learning now for Monday or Tuesday through Friday. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes. As you know, that's the most vulnerable group here with the virtual learning that we have going on, and we're really excited to get them back in the classroom. And as usual, the maximum classroom size will be 22, and students will continue to wear masks and practice social distancing and hygiene. So we're really looking forward to this leap of faith and thank the staff at the schools for making this happen, being able to happen. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. That was quite interesting, and a big thanks to the Rotary for the air purifiers. Let's move on to our update from the Foundation for Carson City Parks and Recreation. Commissioner Bagwell?
So the foundation is beginning a new program for scholarships for children for the Parks and Rec program. So we already have $1,000 collected, which I thought that was pretty good right off the start. So we'll be developing some of the rules and ways we'll apply that. And if I recall correctly, I just want to make sure, Mr. Meyer, you said you would help with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I said that last month, and
Okay.
and you give me direction.
Okay. I threw your name out at a meeting the other day that said, I think he said he'd help with that. So we'll give you a call. But I'm really pleased to see that as a new foundation project.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bagwell. That was.
All right, I'll wait direction.
I've got him on tape twice, so now he has to do it. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kurt.
See how she got you, Kurt?
Yeah.
Huh? Got myself right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, my pleasure. Let's move on to future agenda items, discussion only. Do any of the commission members or staff have any future commission? Jen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have a draft future agenda item handout in your packet. As a reminder, December 1st will be our joint meeting with the Open Space Advisory Committee. We have draft topics for you to review here and welcome any feedback. It doesn't even have to be today. If you want to email me before then, we can work on developing that agenda. But these are all items that you've requested previously. And then just so you know, the Sierra Room will be under construction, so that meeting will be held in the Bob Boldrick Theater. We'll be able to have all of you there. You are welcome to participate virtually if you would like, but you will have adequate social distancing space in there. We'll have plexiglass and adequate protection, so if everybody wants to start meeting again in December, that would be wonderful. I think that would be a really good one to have everybody there in person. We're going to have, I think, some robust discussion. There's some hot topics on there, especially the dog topic. So it would be wonderful to do that. But if there's any other topics for that meeting, let me know. And then we have had some requests to rename this room the Sierra Room in honor of Bob Crowell. And there's been a request to hold a special Parks and Recreation Commission meeting to address that topic. There is a resolution that passed in 1988 about park naming and public buildings, and it requires to be heard at the Parks and Recreation Commission first before consideration of the Board of Supervisors. So I wanted to talk today if we could schedule, it can be a virtual only meeting. We can have everybody, so we could be a little bit more convenient. I don't think it would take more than maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, I would think at most. But that would be the only item on the agenda, would be to have a special meeting. So I wanted to talk about potential dates and times for that meeting and availability from the park commissioners. We need time to be able to draft the agenda and the staff report, be able to post it with legal compliance. And then the goal would be to potentially, if the Park Commission recommended, go to the Board of Supervisors at the November 5th meeting. So in order to do that, we were looking at the 19th or the 20th in the afternoon. So I wanted to see if we could potentially pin down a time, and then we'll work with the recorder's office and all of that, and IT will set it up. But we won't actually have a physical meeting space. We would just do it only virtually, so you just have to get to a computer. And if someone doesn't have that available, we can provide that for you as well. So if that is the pleasure of the board about having a potential special meeting for that one item for consideration.
I think that would be a great idea. And if you just let it, I'm available anytime, basically, so. How do the commissioners feel about this? Would you like to weigh in, please?
This is Dave. I'm good with that. And I just look at my calendar. Looks like either one of those days are good.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitfield.
Yeah,
Kurt Meyer here, and both of those days would work for me also in the afternoon. And Jen, if you would just send that information along with the announcement as far as what the policy says and so forth.
Will do. I'll attach the copy of the resolution to the staff report.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
is afternoon 5:30 or earlier?
I think if people are available, we could definitely do it during the working day. I want to be respectful to your jobs and your, what you have available too. So far, we have 3 that are available anytime on those days or in the afternoon.
And so would I be. This is Janice Caldwell.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Caldwell.
And I can follow up with Commissioner Cartwright as well.
Commissioner Wilkie, I'm available either one of those days too.
Okay. I'll work with the recorder's office and I'll send you out a save the date, and then we'll get you all the information for that.
Okay, and you'll let us know what we need to do to be virtual?
Yep.
Okay.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any other agenda items that you would like either for the December 1st meeting date or even looking into the next year that you want me to add to a list for just the Park Commission?
I think we're pretty good. Do any of the commissioners have any future agenda items they'd like to see considered? It's not, Jen.
Okay.
Sparkling dogs?
I said tackling
Oh.
dogs will be enough.
Yeah.
I thought you said never mind. All right, at this moment, I'm going to open up, well, not the room, but anybody who might by telephone or internet have public comment.
It looks like we have one caller, Madam Chair.
All right, caller, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. This is Molly Waltz for the record. I submitted my public comment via email, afraid that I wasn't going to be able to make the meeting. However, I was able to, so I will go ahead and give my public comment. So on October 2nd, 2020, Governor Sisolak issued Emergency Directive 34, which lifts restrictions on youth and adult sports and adjusting the COVID-19 statewide guidance on sports. The new directive and accompanying guidance allows for practice training, competitions of non-contact and minimal contact sports statewide for youth sports. However, tournaments are not allowed to be scheduled until October 24th of 2020, which only allows youth sports in Northern Nevada 2 weekends to schedule tournaments because outdoor fields in Northern Nevada closes the last weekend of October. I'm asking that the Parks and Rec Commission and staff consider extending outdoor field closures to November 23rd, 2020, which would be a Monday, to allow some sport organizations to play games and possibly schedule a tournament in November as well. I understand that staff is limited, and I understand with not having the inmates from the Department of Corrections has put a hinder on this as well. But please know that if a tournament was allowed in November, and keep in mind, I'm also, this is weather permitting, that we would be able to offer help lining the fields for a soccer tournament. I do know that, tournament sports tourism has always been it brought in an economic impact to Carson City. So I think it would be important that aspect as well. But I would just like for you to consider possibly, weather permitting, leaving the sport fields open until the Monday, November 22nd, 2020. Thank you.
Molly, thank you so much for those comments, and I'm going to defer to Jen and Dave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This item isn't agendized, so we can't have an official discussion, but I do want to let you know that the staff will be following up with her on that and seeing what opportunities we have to support that request.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys doing that. Molly, does that work for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for bringing your concerns to our attention. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's any other public comment?
There's no more public comment, Madam Chair.
Okay, in that case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Whitfield, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. I move we adjourn.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second by Wilkie. Second by Commissioner Wilkie.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries. We are adjourned.